to session 4, which is a highly anticipated panel discussion on Towards a Connected Bharat, Universal Access, Smart Infrastructure, and the Future of Seamless Connectivity. As India takes a firm stride towards digital transformation, it becomes imperative to ensure that every citizen, from bustling metros to the remotest corners, is seamlessly connected through secure, efficient, and intelligent networks. This session will explore the pivotal themes, including the universal broadband access in rural and remote areas, the role of IoT in 4G and 5G era, ensuring data security and privacy in FTTH networks, and the smart infrastructure powered by AI and automation. And we are privileged to have as our session chair today, I would like to invite Sriram Sajivan Singh, Deputy Director General, IoT Telecommunication Engineering Center, Department of Telecommunications. Let's put our hands together to welcome on stage Sriram Sajivan Singh ji. Shri Singh brings deep technical expertise and strategic vision in the evolving field of IoT and smart infrastructure, and has been instrumental in steering key initiatives under India's telecom standardization and regulatory ecosystem. A warm welcome to you, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, to moderate this insightful panel, we are pleased to welcome Mr. Vinesh Bawa, partner and telecom sector leader at PwC India. With over 2 decades of experience advising telecom and infrastructure clients on transformation strategies and emerging technologies. Our distinguished panelists today include leaders who are actively shaping India's connectivity landscape. We are honored to invite Lieutenant General A.K. Bhatt, retired PVSM, UYSM, AVSM, SMVSM, Director General of the Indian Space Association, who brings decades of strategic leadership and now champions private participation in space-based communication solutions. We welcome on the panel Mr. Yugal Kishore Sharma, founder and CEO of My Next Broadband Services, who is a visionary entrepreneur driving affordable and high-quality broadband access to underserved regions of India. Mr. Dharmendra Khajuria, National Head, National Network Partnerships at Bharti Airtel, who brings deep insights into the last mile delivery, public-private partnerships, and digital infrastructure expansion. Mr. Rajiv Mehla, Chief Business Officer at Next Technologies, a seasoned professional focused on integrating AI and automation into unified telecom networks. And Mr. Sanjay Kawale, once again, Manager Products at Comscope India Private Limited, who is an expert in smart fiber network technologies and FTTH solutions, contributing to the development of next-generation communication infrastructure. And with those words of introduction and welcoming, Mr. Bawa, I invite you to share your opening remarks and lead us into this insightful panel discussion. Over to you, sir. And you have time up to 4:30, sir.
Thank you. We will try to finish before time. The last session of the day, first of all, great to be here, and thanks to the team for having us all here. I think since morning, what we have been talking about, this panel will actually summarize all of it and see that how everything comes together, right from a call coming, from the subsea cable generated in somewhere in Western world, comes right down to the village in the lowest level in India. I think we are going to talk about seamless connectivity, in the context of connected Bharat. I think that's the theme of this discussion. We'll talk in a while about who the panelists are, but that's the focus, that how seamless connectivity, universal access is changing in this country today, right? And I'll give you an example. As PwC, we do a lot of forums, global engagements. So a few months ago, we were in one of the global events and in US, and people were asking us examples of how India has evolved in this space. Give us example about BharatNet project. What have you done? Because that's a game-changing kind of project that's not happened globally as yet. It's one of the largest broadband projects ever in the world. So we as a country need to be proud of all of that. And I think even the way SATCOM is coming, India pretty much is going to lead the way over there. And that's what I love to hear comments from people over here. And we'll try to keep it interactive. We'll have a few minutes for questions as well. But before we get into the details, I request the chair to please give a few words about your thoughts on this topic and where you are seeing the things evolving in a connected Bharat.
It's a great pleasure and privilege to be here, welcoming you for this panel discussion. And we have the finest minds in the industry with us. So, as we all know, like digital connectivity, particularly the internet connectivity, is not a luxury now; it's a necessity now. And the vision of digital Bharat basically is hinges on two things like inclusion and, and a very resilient digital infrastructure. So, as far as universal broadband connectivity is concerned, bridging the digital divide, it remains the cornerstone for equitable development. And particularly when we talk about bridging the digital divide, we mean that we need to provide the internet connectivity, provide every citizen in every corner of the country or irrespective of the geography should be should participate in the digital economy. That's bridging the digital divide will mean. Like I would just like to name few initiatives of the government of India, how government of India has been promoting the universal broadband access. The first project which I would like to mention, one of the is BharatNet project. Through the BharatNet project, it's being implemented in a very phased manner to provide broadband connectivity to each and every GPs, to all the GPs basically, and also beyond villages, beyond the GP, on demand basis across the country. So this is one of the major flagship program of Government of India. We have 6G, 4G saturation project, wherein which is being implemented under the Digital Bharat Nidhi, wherein it is ensured that 4G coverage is provided to the uncovered, where basically TSPs are not going due to viability issues. The uncovered and the remote areas of the country, there the 4G coverage is being provided to 4G saturation project under the Digital Bharat Nidhi. Plus, National Broadband Mission 2.0 was launched by the Government of India to with a vision to fast track the rapid expansion of digital communication infrastructure, bridging the digital divide, empowering the citizen, empowering, fostering digital empowerment and inclusion. So, in National Broadband Mission 2.0, it has particularly the right of way was a great issue. So right of way has been tackled through the National Broadband Mission 2.0. So and it addresses basically. So a lot of things were issued there. And one more thing, like National Broadband Mission 2.0, what's doing is it's facilitating broadband connectivity in rural and remote areas through by promoting satellite broadband connectivity, providing this OPGW, use of OPGW, like optical power, these cables, optical power cables from the power sector for providing connectivity to the hilly and remote regions. So, these are the basic various initiatives which have been taken in the universal broadband access. As far as you were saying, providing IoT connectivity through 4G and 5G networks. So, it's unlocking this with the coming of 4G and 5G. The potential, it's unlocking a lot of potential about how IoT will be deployed in the networks. If you'll see the 5G native capability, MMTC, massive machine type communication, and URLLC, these are the two key features and capabilities of 5G network, which provides there will be a seamless integration of large number of IoT devices in the network which can be integrated through MMTC, through URLC. You can provide mission critical applications like remote surgery and autonomous vehicle, this type of. Now that our telecom service providers, our internet service providers, they have to evolve from the role of only providing connectivity as a, they should evolve from the role of providing as a connectivity provider. They should be the end-to-end solution provider, basically. Because what we see from as a DDG IoT, my role is to in various sectors. So when we are moving and when we are discussing various issues about deployment of IoT in this sector, those people are not aware about the potential what these 5G networks can give. So I think these there should be some packaging from our service providers so that they can provide end-to-end solution to them. Because it's not only connectivity now, it's use case based, all these networks. Further, I will also talk about recently you would have heard that government has delicensed that 6 gigahertz band, lower 6 gigahertz band. So this is also going to promote this digital inclusion in our ecosystem. These delicensing of 6 gigahertz band will basically promote the use of technologies, newer Wi-Fi technologies. Probably we are using this 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. Now you will be using in 6 gigahertz those Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 6E, Wi-Fi 7. Basically, the advantage which it gives is increased bandwidth, very low, very improved, there is no interference in it, and very improved latency part of it. So I think it will help in promoting digital inclusion in the remote areas and underserved areas also. So basically, with this, I will also touch upon we were talking about smart infrastructure also, smart infrastructure and powered by AI and automation. So if you will see now the intelligence part will be embedded in the network itself, from the design itself. Now, looking forward, we will have networks which will not be only secure by design, but it will be intelligent by design also. So I think all these ecosystem will help us in promoting broadband connectivity throughout. We were also working in the satellite IoT sphere. We are looking at how this satellite communication will help deployment of IoT solutions in the remote and inaccessible areas wherein basically telecom network is not possible through NTN and all that. So with this, I hand over the floor to the moderator. He can carry forward the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I think you really covered all the points, and in fact, I can imagine the amount of things going on in TEC, because you are in sort of on the platform for developing everything and all the technology that we just spoke about. So there's so much of work happening over there, and that's not easy at all. So sometimes we don't even talk about it, but lots of things happening in TEC. But thank you for your comments. So this is a time, and it's never been earlier, that we have so much of wireline, wireless, SATCOM convergence, right? Gone are the days where we used to talk about it in silos. We cannot talk about it in silos anymore. Everything is so interrelated, and this whole, as I said, the digital divide which is there, the seamless connectivity, it touches all these areas, right? Data centers, for as an example, it's the underlying digital infrastructure is run by the data centers. That capacities are growing in India from 1 gig today to 5x times in the next 3, 4, 5 years. That's the kind of growth happening to serve all these needs of this whole seamless connectivity. So we are in today's world, which is very exciting, and that's why on this panel we have Rajiv representing RAN Next, which is a passive infra player. We have Dharminder, one of the largest, no need of any introduction, Airtel, which is doing everything that we just spoke about. We have Lieutenant General Bharat from the Space Association talking about SATCOM and all. We already heard Ramji over here. Yugal, a very, very known name on the ISP world. I think, no ISP discussions happens without Yugal's name being mentioned. And again, a product company, Sanjay. So we have the representation of all this convergence that I just spoke to you about. And I represent a consulting company which pretty much covers all of it. So it will be interesting to hear from all of you. So, Lieutenant General Bhatt, let's start with you. You know, this after AI, I think the next talking point these days is satellite SATCOM. It's like the next buzzword. So, what's happening? Where are we with SATCOM in India? How is it going to change the game in terms of connectivity to certain rural areas and the unconnected areas? And just give a view of what's happening in this space. It'll be, I think, interesting for everybody to hear.
So I'll try to start from taking you back from when man's forays into space started. Though space has always been enticing us, and in India, of course, astrology was more than astronomy. But in practical terms, the first human forays just took place in the end of World War II. And that was in form of the people who were looking to go to the moon or to space had to redirect their rockets to the capitals of the Allied countries, specifically London. And that was, what I'm talking of is the V2 rocket. And V2 stands for Vengeance 2. Hitler thought that if he's able to break the will of United Kingdom, maybe he wins the war. Well, that's the whole story. But that is when human beings started seriously looking at space. And then started the so-called space race during Cold War, where it was more of status. It was the Sputnik movement. It was the first human being in space, the first animal in space and whatever. But serious usage of space just started after that. And that is after the first geo satellite which was put, and that was primarily for communication. As you know, theoretically, 3 satellites in geosynchronous orbit can cover and give you communication in the entire world. And for years together, till maybe 5 years back, geosynchronous orbit and satellites there were providing all kind of communication. But they had one major problem. 35,000 kilometers had its latencies issues. And of course, there were issues of capacity, which are now being overcome by HTS satellites, that is high throughput satellites. But latency at the geosynchronous remains. And then has come this disruption by private players. New private players who have come in, led by, of course, Starlink, OneWeb, Kuiper, which is also around the corner to come to India. As on today, Eutelsat OneWeb has 640 operational satellites, while Starlink in the world today is more than 6,000 satellites which are operational. Kuiper is around the corner. First few satellites have been put in. And all of them are very keen to come to India. GMPCS has licenses for these 2 low Earth orbit satellite constellations. One is OneWeb and the other is Starlink has been given. They are just crossing the last barrier, and that is the security clearances, which become very important in SAT communication. And I hope by the end of the year, we would be having low Earth orbit broadband connectivity in India. But that said, in the previous panel and before, people did talk of D2D, that is direct to device, coming in the next few years. I don't think so. The cost aspect of SAT communication combined with the equipment, even your mobile set having a SATCOM would take a little more time. But in India, what does this low Earth orbit and all this SATCOM give us? It fills in the gaps which are there in terrestrial communication, especially the unconnected areas by terrain, or where putting fiber is just not cost effective. The best solution is SAT communication, and that has come in. And I'm sitting on the side of DDG IoT. IoT, if it is to be done in far-flung areas, its main, the blood will flow like in a human being, communication will flow through satellites.
Excellent. Excellent, excellent. What you mentioned, in fact, that will allow the use cases that we have actually been talking about in remote, say, and on top of the mountains, some agricultural use cases or whatever can be done with satellites. So absolutely, I'm a strong believer of that. It's a matter of time. I think the jury is still to be out, the launch date, right? Actually, there's a even bet going on where it will be October, November, December. So let's see what that happens. Dharmendra, let me move to you. Airtel does all of what we just spoke about, right? The whole seamless connectivity. Airtel is probably one of the only operators globally which will do each and every area of this whole communication that is going on. Now, specifically in India, to penetrate into the rural areas, I think what's the strategy that you guys have? Because it's a combination of coverage versus going there, reliability, and also cost, right? You guys are masters. You've proven how to make money on low ARPUs also. So on the rural, what's the strategic plans that you have?
Okay, thanks, Vanish. What we do in rural, Mr. Ram talked about connecting the unconnected. While DBN, Digital Bharat Nidhi, that they are, in the latest tranche of DBN, all the, earlier USO projects, that is DBN now, all the the projects are being given to BSNL. So last 25,000 villages, the last project has been handed over to them. Earlier it was being tendered and, either of the operator was doing it. We have done some in Northeast and all. Okay, the competitors were doing other areas. Now currently what we do, each one of us has to understand, most of us sitting in this room might understand the villages or might not, but how the population of village, resides. It is not like an urban area. It's not a densely populated. If you see some of the areas, say Rajasthan or Madhya Pradesh, kind of the villages are that the base village will be say 500 population, and then after 1 kilometer there will be another 200, maybe a 50-yard houses, and so forth. So these are typical villages. Okay. Now if you come to UP, where the population is in excess of say 12 crores and all, so the villages will be really densely populated. So I think then the dilemma comes: how do we make revenue? Okay, how do we put a tower, and how should we plan it? I think then the digital tools, developed by the telecom operators, that sitting on a table, we call it tabletop, so they are able to see how should we deploy a tower. Okay, now typically if a single I'll say a tower, a typical tower, ground based tower, because in the villages you need at least 30 meter to 40 meter kind of a tower to cover the population of a radius of say 3 to 4 kilometers. Okay, in that case we will deploy a GBT which will cost you around anything between say 30 lakh to 40 lakh of rupees. But once we come to a area where the population is slightly lower, but you have a surrounding population, then you need to think, what should be my base location? Once you look at the base location, and from there you see that, how much of population which I will be covering. Now, just to give the room a simple idea, to run a tower in rural area, you will be requiring, the OPEX will be approximately 70,000 to 80,000 rupees per month.
Wow.
So that is the cost. Just imagine. Right. And to get that kind of revenue, you require people who are giving you more than 200 rupees of ARPU. Now, how many people? At least 500 people to begin with. If you're breaking even, you require more than that to make money. Please understand. So this is a real dilemma for us, where to deploy, where not to deploy. But having said that, I'm very proudly saying here that as a telecom industry, we have already covered 99% of the population. We have already covered, in India. And rest of the population, wherever they are sitting, while it is being done by BSNL. Now, again, the issue comes, I think, and here we struggle with the discoms. Since you're deploying a site in the rural area, with electricity is a big challenge. Now, electricity normally comes for 10 hours, 12 hours, or maybe, less than that. How do you manage that? Because we, as a, social responsible corporate citizen, we want the towers or anything which, project to be ecologically sustainable. So we are working on sustainability, so we really don't want to use the DG sets per se. But how do we use that? So if we are deploying in a remote area where electricity is not there, you have to put a substation. And the line from substation to the tower, I mean, even that you have to, do it on your own. I mean, these are the kind of challenges which we get. And of course, looking at all these things, we are working on, AI, ML, so that so that dynamic spectrum allocation can happen. Similarly, we look at, how can we efficiently use power. When during the night time when the usage is less, how can we optimize resources? All these things, play in the background to provide coverage in the rural area. Thank you.
No, it's interesting. In fact, the number of towers that we have and how we maintain them, it's a global, I think, again, one of the examples that it's just unheard of globally, the way things are operating. And also, I think a lot of innovations in the power and sustainability green space has happened just because of India's way the tower industry works, right? And even the data centers.
I'll just add, I might be taking another minute. So while we are working, and we are really thankful to, Department of Telecommunication, NBM, we are working very, very closely with the, NBM team, just to ensure that, how do we achieve the targets of NBM as such, but more to do with the connecting the unconnected. Since I talked about the low availability of electricity, we have already started working on the solar, deploying solar on the site itself. Right. Okay. So that we have done, and while we are getting some good results, we are also working on green energy open access. In May 23, May 23, Ministry of Power issued a, special notification to accommodate telecom. Earlier, it used to be 1 megawatt. Okay, from 1 megawatt, it came to 100 kilowatt. But even 100 kilowatt, our tower operates at 5 kilowatt or 10 kilowatt. Okay, that is the sanctioned load. While operating, it will be maybe less than 4 kilowatt or something like that. So we requested Ministry of Power that if you really want telecom companies to take advantage of that, then you should allow the aggregation of towers. So I think in the notification which came in May 23, that allows telecom towers to be aggregated under a division. If it is more than 100 kilowatt, we can get that, we can get the advantage of that green energy open access.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, totally true. In fact, moving gears, I think Yugal, so ISPs are almost like the nerve center of broadband connectivity in this country, right? Pretty much everywhere, the amount of ISPs that are there, thousands and smaller ones, all kind of sizes. So just wanted to get your view on the broadband connectivity to the rural side, the ISP play. What are the ISPs doing? What are the challenges that you're facing? And what's, the way that you guys are going to the rural connectivity from broadband point of view from an ISP standpoint?
Thank you, Vinesh. So having heard General Sir coming from the skies, giving us the historical evolution of SATCOM after the World War II and stuff like that, V2 and other things he shared, I'm equally passionate about it. But from the skies, then we went to our colleague here at the stage from Airtel. He talked about the wireless connectivity, 99% of India connected. Yes, we agree that. And your elder brother maybe covers 100%. So that part we understand. But this question which Vinesh have asked, I think that's a very close to all the ISPs, and I represent the ISPs here. So I would say that, and I don't know how many ISPs would be here, but most of the audience will have ISPs here. And it's a transport business, as we all know. Imagine a few years back going from Delhi to Meerut. I was talking to somebody in the backstage, going from Delhi to Dehradun, how the situation was, right? Similarly, internet service provider also carries your data on a transport. And on a transport, if you see the most important C's, one is your connectivity, capacity, then coverage. All these three C's become the most inherent part of all of us sitting on this side. Of course, we are trying to solve it where it's not connected through SATCOM and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, fiber home broadband will be the dominant, connected home for not only our country, across the globe that we know by now. So that is where I heard Mr. Ram sharing about the vision of the government. And that's where my thought is. And I was happy to hear that there's more right-of-way sanity in the whole country, which we used to see in the last 30 years of evolution of telecom. But I would put forth here, since it's a transport, and the biggest pain for ISPs today, of course, the two mobile operators have connected the entire country wirelessly. Voice problem was solved long back. We all are endeavoring to solve the data problem. And for that, there has to be a third consolidated government-led infrastructure for connectivity, which is your Railtel, power companies, OPGW, Gailtel, and several others. And of course, the highways that are getting built now, all are having optical fiber. So that's where all ISPs, the biggest pain point today, and the dependency is there, 100% on the two telcos, maybe another telco which is not into B2C, Tata Communications. But that's one challenge I think if we are able to solve, then what my friend from Airtel said, we have a model which will be even sub 200 rupees ARPU for a village and yet be profitable, right? So that's where we are looking at, and we call this as Bharat, and this is where the next growth will come. But if we do not have a centralized, consolidated fiber network, like in Australia, they built the NGN for connecting the entire, as good as the continent, which was a massive project. I think after that, BharatNet is one of the largest project ever on the planet. And that's where there is tremendous amount of infinite capacity that government holds. I remember Bharat Broadband, which was the offshoot earlier, had deployed the phase 2, phase 3. All that fiber asset has to come into a consolidated government, third player for connectivity. If that is sorted, ISPs, even in US today, 1/3, 30% of home broadband is given by small, medium, large ISPs, pan-US. And today in India, I'm happy to share, most of the ISPs who would be hearing me, almost second home broadband connection is done by us. All telcos put together, government and private operators, would command about 55% of the market share of 42 million home broadband connectivity. Of course, it's a very difficult time for ISPs today. And once we are able to solve this, I think this will really bring in a lot of relief to the ISP industry. And last point is that, and we all know, home broadband, fiber broadband connectivity we have seen in the corona phase directly is proportional to the GDP of the nation. When the telecom operators connected India wirelessly on voice, and then of course 3G came and went, but when 4G networks were done, I think we all know how the digital payments and the digital economy swelled up. And of course, we were better prepared for corona in these kind of situations. And that's where my thought would be, that we should have a centralized infrastructure which is non-telco led, and it should be owned by the government. And that's where the ISPs should be allowed with proper right-of-ways. Like in NCR Delhi, we are sitting in the capital. Noida doesn't have a proper right-of-way. The electric companies there don't give you right-of-way. Delhi does. The discoms here, they give you proper permissions. Like if you go abroad, the same overhead line cables, which we don't like here, are so nicely done there with proper permission. Wooden pillars are there. There's a hole in between. The fiber with all tensile strength. Everything is laid properly. So these are the things which I would put to the table is one aspect that needs to be looked into it. And of course, we are doing our bit. And we will definitely reach out to the phase 3, phase 4, the Bharat markets. And that's where our focus is also there. And we're consolidating all those small, medium players and bringing them into a large combination.
No, well summarized, Jugal. In fact, the point about fiber, I think, is one of the most important points. A lot of progress has happened. I think a lot of improvements have happened, but still a long way to go in terms of simplifying it even further. But you're right, the PSUs getting into this space and supporting the whole need for broadband, I think that's been a good positive move. We have seen, GAILs and PGCILs and Railtels of the world getting into, giving the fiber and leasing them out. So Rajiv, let me move to you. So now, while all this is happening, GrandNext came up with this innovative model of being a passive infra player, and almost like a neutral passive player. You took over the tough work, which is like, the passive work, became a neutral provider, and then started supporting the ISPs, the service providers, etc. in this space. So you tell us more about that and how you are seeing the penetration from a rural, getting broadband to rural. What's GrandNext's role in that space?
Okay. So good evening all. So as Dharmender has touched upon some topic on the costing part, so if we build any of the tower in any of the tier 2 or tier 3 cities, so there is a huge investment. As a NNI or as a IP1 player and as a RENX, we are building the common shared infrastructure which can be offered to the multiple operators, ISPs, the telecom operators also. So as a neutral provider, so of course, we are building the future-ready infrastructure that maybe cater multiple operators or the ISPs. And second, on the financial point of view, again, everything will the cost conscious, considering the today's market. Everyone want the reductions in terms of their OPEX on month. So same as a IP1, as a RENX, we are building the entire infra and doing all kind of the investment with the future-ready infrastructure. And of course, whatever we are building, the network and we're doing the investment there, of course, the ISP and the operator can leverage that part of the investments and they can, through any kind of the services, through our deployed network also. Second point, I just want to be the highlight or touch upon on the specific on the operation front. So the site building is the one challenge, and when you talk about the operations point of view, you need to be maintain the long-term operations. And in tier 2 or tier 3 cities, it will really difficult to be put down the additional resources. So then, as a RENX, we have a set standards, resources, as well as the tools and the tackles and the mechanisms also. So we are maintaining the uptime for all the telecom operators with the shared resource. When we talk about the common infra, so that will give a cost reductions to the telecom operator and the ISPs. Even not on the OPEX, on the CAPEX part also. So they have to be paid the recurring things and that will not give, I can say, the immediate burden to their pockets. So any of the ISP or the operators can be run through the IP1 networks and they'll leverage the all kind of the resources, shared resources, the investments and the innovations also in terms of the future ready network.
Right. No, it's interesting. What you guys have done is almost that neutral layer which was needed, like, and all the sharing really helps from a OPEX perspective. You mentioned CAPEX as well,
Yeah.
but definitely from an OPEX, it's a drastically high, savings that you get to the provider.
So Vinesh, of course, see, when you are putting the single investments and then the investment will be segregated in between 2, 3 or the multiple ISPs or the operators. So of course, that will be beneficial for everyone, even if we talk about the end customer. So of course, if we have a limited, as a ISP or as a operator, we have a limited OPEX. So then definitely we can talk about the viable commercials for the end customers also when we talk about any broadband pricing on the market.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, that's great. So, Sanjay, you represent like the product companies here, right? So let's come to you because nothing can work without the product. So what innovations and what's happening on the product side of things that you can talk about to support this growing broadband, rural, the massive expansion that's going to happen? So what's your take on that?
I was collecting all the points, Somebody's coming from the satellite, somebody's coming from the wireless, somebody's talking about connecting the fiber. Finally, everything has to land at the ground and connect to the end customer, right? And that is where the passive comes in play. The telecom infrastructure, even though it's talked about as very important, but it's not paid that much of attention when it comes to the quality, right? And the longevity. You spoke about the operational cost of it. So what happens is initially the focus always goes on to the CAPEX. People want to save there, cut corners, and then deploy something, and then spend more on the OPEX, right? And as Jugal sir said, that we have to have a national asset, a common shareable platform where people can go and share that. A national asset, which is available for everyone, not only for ISP. Of course, he said give more share to the ISPs because all the other operators, they have their own backbone readily available. So all those things can be done. But even after that, when the actual deployment starts, and when the project starts, you have lots of challenges, which starts right from the drawing board. The planning guys, how do they plan? What do they choose? How do they deploy? Everything which goes and touches the ground by the project manager managed on this thing has to go through a proper evaluation. And that is where, you have to not only look at the capex, but look at the total cost of operations as such. I am not an operator, so I can even talk about total cost of deployment only. After that, you can take over an operation. So what we at Comscope always say is that develop a product which will serve customer exactly the way they want. I mean to say, everybody has different density requirement, everybody has different kind of deployment, maybe on the wall, on the rack, underground, over the pole, whatever it is. Develop a product which serves almost everybody equally, still having modularity and upgradability available. So that's one part of the product. Then comes the life of the product. Define a product which will last at least equal to the life of the fiber that you're deploying and using, putting into it, right? And then third comes is the operation. When you develop a product or a solution, now let's broaden the scope a little. A solution as such, it should be able to address all the problems that you have been facing till now. So those who were there in my presentation in the earlier, before lunch session, I spoke about when we talk about doing volumes, all the big bosses here have a target of rolling out so many thousands of home passes in a week or in a month and so on. So there comes the speed, right? There comes the accuracy. Now, if somebody says, I have done 1 million home passes, and then when you go to connect the home passes, you find 10% of them are not properly connected. Gone. So one is the speed, one is the accuracy. You do right at the first time. And that is where I said that, okay, we as a product company has to help you automate the passive, which we have not been thinking really. We have been always thinking about automation only in the active domain. When we talk about active, we talk about zero to provisioning. You put a ONT, it should be automatically configured, right? You put the customer ID, and the plan is already there. So the plan is already deployed to the end customer. Yes, everything can be done. But what about the passive? There has to be automation getting into the passive also. Now, when you come to the passive and automation, what do you automate? The very simple question is, what do you automate? You automate what is repetitive and what is expected to give almost the same result every time. That is what you automate, right? So in that passive domain, what you have is simple connection like connectivity by splicing, termination into the connectors. These are the two repetitive things. Can we take that out? And that is what gave a simple idea of plug and play networks. So plug and play network is the first automation that actually happened and is an old automation that happened into the network. Now, having plug and play and having an old thought of our normal splicing, there is a struggle of people who plan on the drawing board and those who deploy. Because deploying guys think, yeah, if I lose this, then what do I do? That's my, so that's one thing that we can automate. And then, even after that, as I said, the second point is the accuracy of deployment, where right at first time is very important. So now, even if you have a good plan of fiber, all the fiber numbers, fiber colors, fiber directions, fiber cable, tube number, everything is given. But there is likely to be a mistake down there. That is taken by the connectivity. But now we are coming to the last point where we are connecting the customer. And that is where we are likely to make, we means the guy on the ground who is not that highly educated to understand everything, is likely to make a mistake. That is where we can have another layer of automation, which is enabled by the AI. And that is where we have already developed a solution where after the guy has done what he's supposed to do, just clicks a picture, it gets loaded, referred, and you get an error that yes, you were supposed to do this fiber there, but you haven't done it properly. The radius is not good. The right side is not good. Do it again, do it right, click OK and gone. That goes up into the NOC and everything is ready. So that's how the automation has to flow from active to passive and make everybody's life, very
No,
easy.
in fact, just to add on to that, this whole as a service concept, like this, started with software as a service, the network as a service, now anything as a service. To support that, these kind of automation is absolutely critical. Otherwise, it's like almost what you want, when you want, how you want, you pretty much do it on the fly, right? That's the need of the consumers.
Managing those SLAs can be only possible with all these kind of automations happening at this.
So I think just moving on from here, this one of the things that comes across in a lot of my discussion that we do with a lot of our clients is around the growth of AI. Obviously, everybody knows the AI growth, cyber security. The more the demand is growing of all these technologies, etc., the security is becoming more and more critical as well because the touch points are increasing a lot, right? And Dharmendra, thanks to Airtel. Airtel was one of the first companies from having this spam service that you have, like, to recognize spam calls using AI. That's a brilliant service for the actual end consumers. That's been super appreciative. So starting from you, from a security standpoint, from a data security standpoint in the whole broadband world, what is Airtel's view and what is going on in terms of innovations over there?
Thanks. I think you in fact started giving the answer saying that the latest spam kind of thing which we have started detected. This is one of its kind in the world, not in India. This is one of its kind in the world, and the world over operators are looking at us saying that how did you do that? Can you give us the solution? I mean, that is what the discussions are happening. Lot many operators are coming to us. So that, first of all, each one of us sitting in this room should understand that when we discuss cyber security or security, we always call it telecom grade security, because we know that your data is very, very important. Okay? So when we don't talk about security in general or cyber security in general, we always talk about telecom grade security, because we are handling, if you look at the customer, 360 million customers we are handling. It's not a small numbers. And the latest technologies, whatever happening in the world, fortunately we have the visibility, what is happening in the world. We are bringing the technologies here. Now, from a security perspective, we are working on at a network level, at a device level, at an app level, and then at a user level. So these are 4 levels. Okay. So first level, network level security. How do we deal with that? The kind of network which we have created, the core or the the different units of network, everything is secure. Everything is secured. Okay, number one. From a FTTH or from a broadband perspective, when we see that at our network level, we are trying to see the continuous monitoring of traffic. If there is any anomaly in that because of any malware, any rogue kind of activity, that is being monitored so that we are able to predict that. Using AI and ML, it has become much easier to predict if there is going to be any downtime or if there is any threat from a security perspective, so that we can do away with that. The solution, the anti-spam solution, which we started with only for the calls, now we are working on that, and we have already launched on the SMS also, so that any SMS link which comes to you should not be it should not be opened. I mean, while the government and everybody is talking about it, that you should not be opening any link, but we are trying to do that. Even if you click on the link, it should not get opened. I mean, that is the kind of seriousness with which telecom is working on. Coming on to I talked about network, and then let's look at device. The device, the CPE at your place, or the router, or the ONTs, everything is secure. And if there is any cyber security, any update on the firmware that has to happen, that happens over the air. That is completely OTA. So we are ensuring the equipment which is being deployed at your place is also secure. Now, coming on to the app side, we have already our if I talk about Airtel as such. So Airtel Thanks app gives you the complete control of your Wi-Fi. You can switch off the Wi-Fi remotely. Okay, you can, if you want to add any service, delete any service, that can be completely, while it is for mobile also, it is for broadband also. You can do everything through that app only. You don't have to visit our, the showroom, or you don't have to call the call center. That is completely with you guys. We have empowered the customers. Coming on to the user, from a user's perspective, I think this holds good for the user also, because since we are empowering the user, they can do. They can also do some kind of a parental control. I mean, the app can, if you want to switch off the network, say in the night, say 11 to 4 in the morning, you can do that. I mean, that is amazing. And with more and more, the innovations which are coming in the world, I can assure you, the people who are sitting here, that whatever the world offers, the best of technologies will be available to our customers at Airtel. And let me share good news with all the customers. All the customers, 360 million customers, they have Perplexity Pro, that is available to each and every customers of Airtel starting today. Thank you.
One good news from Airtel today for everybody, all the call. I'm sure most of us are Airtel consumers. No, but great innovation. I think it's, even in the Western world, I keep on again saying these are unheard of, these kind of things. So left and general, but from a satellite comm perspective, the AI's role and this whole data security, maybe a quick view on how these two things from a SATCOM perspective.
So firstly I'll go to AI. If you see today, and if you see a constellation of Starlink and OneWeb, you switch from, the user switches from one satellite to another, minimum 10 to 15 minutes, and maybe lesser. And if that has to happen, AI has to be there. It is already there in the model. Because if that whole spectrum has to be managed, and that connectivity chain has to be managed, AI is there and stands. And this AI combined is the challenge for your next question, that is security. And in security, what we have to look at it, the world over today, we are talking of post-encryption, post-quantum encryption. And we are still in the country, and even in the military, not reached there. And that would be a huge challenge, because today, people who will interfere into your systems are not within your boundaries. There will be international rivals, and especially the geopolitical situation which is now there. This post-quantum encryption becomes very, very important. But that said, satellites and Bharti Airtel and Starlink are ready to come. And just a few months back, we have got a 32 points security parameters. Right. Reading itself takes a lot of time. Implementation will take much more time. We have to be always remember about security is, security should not stop us from using technology.
Absolutely.
We have to find answers like we have found for spam. And it really helps, practically.
And this will be an ongoing process.
So,
I think it's not a...
So today, when we are looking at security in digital communication overall, our model is terrestrial.
Right.
We have to switch to what is there in space, where you do not have the entire controls. Because the satellites are global, the systems are global, and we have to have a relook at it and not get frightened by it.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it will be an ongoing thing. Development will have to always keep on catching up with something from both sides. So that's definitely going to happen. Yugal, on the ISP world, again, the tier 2, tier 3 cities, and there's so many smaller ISPs, there is always this cyber risk, data security concerns even more, right? So what's your take on that, and what are the ISPs doing in that space?
Yeah, so I think as I said earlier, ISPs, operators, telecom operators, we all are into transport business, and our centralized equipments are all active, is based on all the specified standards, and we ensure it's completely secured. But of course, the challenge then comes is when we deliver the circuit at a home, at the application layer, which is where the customer home, the customers enter into their various applications for security, and through their SIs or through their web-based solutions. But at the ISP level, right from our NOC, right from our connectivity, right up to the customer home, this is all completely secured. from cybersecurity threats. All those protections are taken, and the challenge lies at the customer home, where the customers have to enter into various such solutions.
No, thank you. And I know it's not an easy thing to do, because you always have to, the kind of market that we are serving there, the risks even increase quite a lot there. And Sanjay, from a product standpoint, a quick view on security how important is that when you are doing innovations on the product? And if you can just get a very, in the interest of time, a quick view from that.
In the passive, actually, it's not very critical, because there's nothing that is actively involved with the passive elements, because there's no power or nothing. But if you look at the physical security perspective of that particular asset as such, because every asset needs to be protected, so that physical security, if you really want to talk about it, we have solutions where people think of saving their downtimes, which are caused by people accessing those part of the boxes which are not supposed to be accessed by the other elements. So like simple things like locks, simple things like separation of one part of the network which is inside the box, which is not accessible, another part which is outside of the box, which is accessible. So those kind of physical security aspects can be taken care of by people like us. And going further ahead, there are some remote small monitoring modules that can be put into FMSS, which can monitor the active ports, inactive ports, if accidentally taken out or sabotage is done, or even to manage the remote maintenances, like this is the port to be activated, this is the port to be connected, this is the port to be deactivated. Those kind of things also contribute to the security of the network, right? So all those things are available, are readily deployable at CommScope Solutions.
So I'm assuming you're going to be in safe hands from that point of view, right? Because that's the touch point from a risk perspective.
That's the physical touch point.
That's going to be critical. Rajiv, over to you from a sharing perspective, active, passive, both when you put neutral networks together. What about the security aspects of it? How is that handled, and what are the challenges that you see over there, if there's any?
So Vinesh has already communicated. When we talk about the passive structure, so there are so limitations. We can't control, we can't monitor specifically the security or the privacy thing through passive infrastructure. We again need to be dependent on the active things. So if you are deploying the active and the passive structure, then definitely security is the main concern. And then you at least on the security point of view, you can put some barriers there. As Dharmender already have explained, as a ISP, as a telcos, so they have a certain guidelines. So as of now, in the passive structure, as a RENX, of course, we are monitoring and we are extending all support on the operational front and adding the value to the ISPs and the telecom operators also. But on the privacy part, again, there is nothing much to put any additional barrier there.
Okay. No, interesting. And Ram Sajanji, I think over to you. Wanted to get your thoughts on, from the standards perspective, on what's TEC doing from this whole security on IoT, etc. What's happening on that front?
Thank you. It was good to hear from all the panelists, and we ultimately represent the spectrum of the telecom industry, and it was good to hear about security also, about how do we promote the broadband connectivity in the remote and rural areas, how do we reach out there. So it was good to hear your views. I will basically talk something about IoT. As you know, it's a buzzword, and it's smart. Smart infrastructure is being created in almost every sector, and IoT and the emerging technologies are being used to create the smart infrastructure. And these IoT devices, basically, they are constrained devices. So basically, it cannot handle the security in itself. So if you can say the threat landscape has increased a lot, and this is a great concern for the industry also, for the government also, everywhere. How do we tackle if some rogue device is there and doing something else? So like we heard in the previous class between India and Pakistan also, something rogue, such devices were there. So how do we tackle such challenges? So what we from Telecom Engineering Center basically is a technical arm of Department of Telecommunication, which we go for standards, how we prescribe standards, which standards to be followed, so that we can protect our networks, we can protect our users. So as far as IoT is concerned, we prescribe that at least because we see that a lot of application developers are there. So we, a lot of the service providers are there. So we always prescribe to the various ministries also and various, that you please take services from only DOT registered M2M service providers. That is very important, so that we know who is deploying that network. The other thing is we normally prescribe what is like one M2M standards. Basically, one M2M standards, if you know, it particularly it take care of the interoperability part. It take care of the security, authentication, authorization part of the devices as well as applications. So we have a very common service layer there. So the data abstraction happens in that common service layer. All the data registration part or the device registration part is taken care of that. And there is interoperability, like the data which is being derived from one device can be shared between multiple of applications. So we basically prescribe one M2M. Please, we are continuously writing to all ministries also, all departments, all public sector units also, and even to please incorporate only adopt one M2M standards in your IoT deployments. And further, we also prescribe, like we already have essential requirement under the MTCT regime. Like we have a regime in like mandatory testing and certification of all telecommunication equipment, wherein we have prepared ERs for 5 products. Like the basic one is IoT gateway, because IoT gateway will be used in almost every deployment to aggregate the data which is coming from the end devices, IoT devices, sensors. So we have for IoT gateway, we have for smart electricity meter, we have for tracking device, we have for feedback device, which is and for endpoint sensors, monitoring environmental sensors. So we always write to everyone, and we tell that please only use tested and certified devices. Tested and certified, because now we have security requirements also, which will be incorporated in these ERs. Those are being prepared by our National Center for Communication Security Bangalore unit. They have already prepared the ITSARs. So it covers all the security requirements. And as far as IoT is concerned, the security requirements will be categorized into levels also. We are classifying the device also. Like there may be one device which is its security requirement will depend on the use case where it is used. Suppose it is being used for some critical applications, like a energy meter, which is being used for some nuclear plants. It will the security requirements of that device will be much higher than it is being used for the consumers. So as far as IoT devices are concerned, we cannot specify a single security standard. So we have classified the device into 4 levels. As far as India is concerned, we have classified the device. So as per these 4 levels, the testing will be conducted. Further, we are also doing a pilot project on National Trust Center. Maybe, I don't know, a few of you may be knowing, like just to ensure, just to enable trust and secured IoT M2M ecosystem. It will be basically a repository of all the devices, applications, all the stakeholders in one platform, so that we can manage the vulnerability. Once, as I was saying, that the classification of devices, once the IoT platform onboards the device with some application, it can always, there can be check that device with a particular security level is being onboarded for the application which is, for which it is defined. So otherwise an alert will be issued to all the stakeholders, all the ministry regulators and all that, so that we are able to know that some device with low security level has been integrated into an application which requires very high security requirements or mission critical applications. So we are doing, once this pilot project is over, I think we will be deploying it nationwide also. So these are the various happenings on the IoT. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. I think well summarized, and I think we are well over time. So I would encourage questions, etc., over coffee. I think when there is people can network there. But just to summarize, I think universal access for a given, the whole seamless connectivity is the way forward. We'll keep on hearing about the underlying AI layer and IoT growth and those nice use cases that we've been talking about, which are really now going to be reality. So thank you, everyone, and it was great. This could have gone for hours, but I think thanks for the discussion, and thanks to the audience for listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Mic on karna hai? Thank you very much indeed. And ladies and gentlemen, as we have come to the closing of this session, I would request Session Chair Shri Ram Sajwan Singh Ji to kindly do the honors of presenting mementos to our eminent panelists. We present to Lieutenant General A.K. Bharat, to Mr. Yugal Kishore Sharma, to Mr. Dharmendra Khajuria, to Mr. Rajiv Mehla, and I would request you, sir, to present to our moderator, Mr. Vinish Bawa. And yes, joining us there is Mr. Shashidharan. I would request him to honor Session Chair Shri Ram Sajwan Singh Ji. Mr. Shashidharan to honor Session Chair Shri Ram Sajwan Singh Ji. Thank you, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, with that, we have come to the lucky draw that we have been promising to each one of you since the morning. And as promised, we have 6 lucky prizes to be won, 2 for each session. And for the first lucky draw, I would request our Session Chair, Shri Ram Sajwan Singh Ji, the first lucky draw for Session 2. A nice shuffle and Mr. Sanjeev Gupta is the lucky winner. Is he here with us? Mr. Sanjeev Gupta? Not here, so I would request you to take out another name. Mr. Kamal Singh. He's here with us. Kindly come up. Let's put our hands together for our lucky winner. I would request Sri Ram Sajwan Singh Ji to present him the lucky draw prize. Thank you, sir. I would now invite Mr. Vinesh Bawa to kindly do the honors of take out the second name for session 2. Mr. Vinesh Bawa to kindly do the honors of drawing the second name for session 2. And the lucky winner is Kamlesh Deka, sir. Mr. Bawa to kindly present him the prize, the lucky prize. And we move on now to session 3. And I would request Mr. Yugal Kishore Sharma to do the honors of taking out the lucky winner for session 3, the first lucky winner. Mayank Gupta is the winner. I would request Mr. Yugal Kishore Sharma to kindly present him. And now requesting Lieutenant General A.K. Bhatt to do the honors of taking out the second name for session 3. Amitabh Panda is the winner. Requesting Lieutenant General A.K. Bhatt to present him the lucky prize. I would now request Mr. Dharmendra Khajuria, National Head Network Partnerships, Bharti Airtel, to do the honors of taking out the first lucky name for session 4. Sakshi Agarwal. Requesting Mr. Khajuria to present the award to Sakshi Agarwal. And with that, we come to the last lucky draw for the day. And requesting Mr. Rajiv Mehla to do the honors. All the lucky prize winners, if you want, you can later on collect the bags for your gifts from the counter here next to the stage. Rahul Kumar. Yes. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for all the lucky winners. Congratulations to all the lucky winners. And can we have a group photograph first with all the panelists? Then I would invite all our lucky winners to come up to have a group photograph with our distinguished dignitaries. After the group photograph of the panelists, all the lucky winners to kindly come up for a group photograph. Requesting all the lucky winners, the lucky prize winners to come up for a group photograph. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, over the course of the day, we have witnessed enriching deliberations, powerful addresses, and insightful discussions that have shed light on the core theme of the summit, from policy frameworks to implementation insights, and from ground realities to forward-looking strategies. We sincerely thank all our distinguished speakers, panelists, and delegates for their valuable contributions. Your perspectives have not only illuminated the challenges but also pointed us towards pragmatic and impactful solutions. A special word of gratitude to all our esteemed guests from the Government of India, state authorities, and technical experts and global thought leaders whose presence elevated the significance of this summit. We also extend a heartfelt thanks to our knowledge partners, sponsors, and the organizing teams whose tireless efforts made this summit a success. So we wish you all safe travels, continued success, and look forward to meeting again with renewed purpose. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again. Good evening and namaskar.